Welcome back to Normal Baseball. I'm Alex Normal Dog. That's Lewis. Did the Braves retaliate on Pete Alonso, and should the fans have cheered when he got hit? Should MLB get rid of divisions? And would we rather be the Mets or the Padres? We're going to talk about all those questions right now. Where do we want to start, Lewis?
I think it's only fair to start with the retaliation, the potential thought of it with Pete Alonso and the Braves. Me personally, don't think it was retaliation. What do you think?
So, just to explain the situation a little bit. So, yesterday, in case you don't know, or 2 days ago, rather now, in case you don't know, Pete Alonso hit a home run off Bryce Elder. And from the dugout after the home run, he started yelling, throw it again, at Elder. So everyone kind of saw the video of that because it was on video, and a lot of people got mad. The Mets went on to lose the game as well, so it was a little, irony, bad look. Pete explained it a little more. He did speak on it, and he said, Lindor hit a 2-run home run before him. He got a hanging slider. Pete got a hanging slider, and he wanted him to throw it again to Vogelback, who was up after. So, I mean, it makes sense when you put it that way, but obviously, rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. The Braves didn't really say too much about it. I know Bryce Elder said, I would have celebrated like that too if I just hit a home run to where he hit it. But I think it was more of, give Bogey a slider. It was more one of those. But in the first at-bat for Pete Alonso in yesterday's game, Game 2, which the Braves did go on to win, Pete Alonso was hit in the hand by Charlie Morton. First at-bat.
By who?
Charlie Morton.
Thank you.
In the first at-bat. And obviously, Braves fans actually cheered after Pete Alonso was hit. And he was actually removed from the game, too. So, X-rays came back negative. Pete is considered day-to-day right now, from what I've read, which is obviously not wanted if you're a Mets fan. But you're just glad he's not landed on the IL with a broken hand. Yeah. But yeah, Braves fans cheered when Alonso got hit and was removed from the game. I agree with you. Don't think this was intentional whatsoever.
It
wasn't.
You could tell in the reaction that Charlie Morton had on the mound of the immediate regret, mistake, knowing that pitch was not that 96 mile an hour fastball, which, holy shit, Charlie Morton definitely got away from it a little bit, ran a little bit too much inside. Sean Murphy was even set up inside. It wasn't like it was just throw down a random sign, set up away, and plunk him. It was very much the plan was to throw inside. Now, does it look bad if you don't know the whole story behind everything and you just see the same player who was chirping the other team the day before now gets drilled with a pitch? Yes, of course it looks bad. When you look into it a little bit more, you kind of realize that it wasn't intentional. There was no bad or a behind hitting Pete Alonso. It was clearly an accident.
Yeah, it was definitely an accident. And especially with a veteran like Charlie Morton, you're not going to see a guy like Charlie Morton just hit Pete Alonso because why not? That's just not something that those types of players do. And I don't think that is what he did. It's just bad situation all around. And also, Morton did apologize to Pete Alonso after the game. Pete said that, Morton came to him and said, hey, look, wasn't intentional, at all. And Pete was like, I figured it wasn't intentional. It's kind of obvious, throwing Pete Alonso inside. Like he said, that's how you pitch to Pete Alonso. And lose one, and it hits him right in the hand. It's not like he drilled him in the ribs, or aimed for his head. So I think Braves fans cheering, I think that is a bad look.
Very bad look.
Obviously, they did win the game. And
obviously.
Well, Money Mike with his Money Mike, Michael Harris, 2-run homer, kind of gave them the win. But the Mets are now 7.5 games back. Braves are in first place. They're chilling, although the Marlins, we'll talk about that later tomorrow. But yeah, it's bad luck for the Braves fans, and I think I haven't seen any Braves players or managers or coaches talking about the fact that the Braves fans cheered, but I definitely think it should be not condoned. Like, tell them, look, we get it. You guys don't love this guy. He's one of our rivals, but you can't be cheering when we accidentally hit him in the hand and he comes out of the game. That's horrible look.
In any sport, cheering for an opponent to be injured is always a bad look.
It's like when Kevin Durant got injured in the finals that one year in Toronto and they started cheering.
But all the players stepped in and, definitely, like...
Yeah, like, you can't do that.
Yeah, everybody kind of realized that situation quickly. I think the reason behind the boo... And, well, the reason behind the cheer, I should say, sorry about that, for Pete Alonso was that he has been torturing that fan base. And it makes sense as to why they did that after all the other stuff that came out and all, like, after the game and seeing, like, the throw it again stuff. Like, it makes sense as to why the Braves fan base would be like, oh, I don't like that guy, but that doesn't mean that you cheer when he gets hurt.
Yeah, cheers aren't justified in that situation, no matter what, really.
Yeah. It's bad luck.
I don't think they would have cheered if the thing yesterday didn't happen. I'm pretty confident in the fact that if yesterday didn't happen and Pete Alonso got hit, they wouldn't have cheered,
Yeah, for sure.
That was they erupted when he got hit.
Yeah, which was just, again, really bad luck. Really, really bad luck.
I get when you're in the stadium, you kind of let the emotions take the best of you because, you're in the stadium, you're not kind of looking at the whole story, but when you really think about it, a veteran pitcher like Charlie Morton is not throwing at Pete Alonso intentionally. That's just not happening.
No.
So, in conclusion, the Braves did not retaliate. They accidentally happened to hit Pete Alonso, throwing him inside on the hand. But yes, Braves fans were wrong for cheering him getting hit and coming out of the game.
Yeah.
Fair to say?
Cannot agree more.
The Mets lost last night, and they are now on a 5-game losing streak, which is their first 5-game losing streak since 2021. I believe September of 2021, which obviously you don't like to see if you're a Mets fan. But the Mets aren't the only good team that has been struggling this season. Another very good team that has struggled this season is the Padres. So obviously the Mets and Padres are in a similar boat. They are both under 500. The Mets are 2 games under 500. The Padres are 4 games under 500. My question is, which team would you rather be? The Mets or the Padres? Obviously both teams have incredible talent. Both teams were projected to, win their division, if not come in second. And so far, both teams have done neither of those things. So, what would you rather be, the Mets or the Padres, and why?
Me personally, I would prefer to be in the Mets situation as compared to the Padres. And before I explain why, where would you stand?
I'm going to say Padres, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
So, my reasoning behind being in the Mets situation is that they have more room to improve. In San Diego, the prospects that they have and the trade pieces that they have to get better, there's a significant margin between where the Mets have their prospects, which I think is genuinely at the top of the pack right now, as compared to where the rest of the league is. And then you have the Padres, who are probably below that. Because the Padres, yes, they do have a few prospects in the top 100 going into this season for prospect rankings on MLB.com, but they're all in rookie ball to high A ball. They're still very far away to the point where they don't make too much of an impact when it comes to trades. However, the Mets possess, I believe it's 3 or 4 players within the top 100, and most of them, including Ronnie Mauricio, who we will eventually be talking about some way, shape, or form.
Maybe this year, yeah.
Yeah, at some point this year. he is the number 4 ranked in the Mets organization, and he is very easily within the top 100, and he's in AAA. Like, the Mets have more notable prospects at higher levels where they can go to a different team and make an impact, which makes them more valuable trade pieces. That's where I stand with the Mets, and that's why I would say that they have a better chance of turning it around if their players play better, 1, and 2, if they use any of their prospects as trade pieces, they have a better chance to significantly improve their roster.
Okay.
How's that?
I mean, that's fair. My question is, do you think they're trading any of those big prospects this offseason or this season?
So
because this is only a conversation for this season.
Yeah, I know.
So do you think at the trade deadline we see any of their big top prospects go?
I'm gonna be honest. It depends on whether or not Shohei Ohtani's available. I think that's what it comes down to.
Hypothetically, he's not.
Even then, I still think the Mets go out, make a splash for a couple of relievers. I know.
But do they trade? I'm asking, do you think they will trade their big prospects?
Yes.
For relievers?
I think that there is a trade to be made for relievers. I think there's a trade to be made for another starting pitcher that's reliable. I think there's a trade for a different bat.
I don't see them getting another starter. Who would they take out?
What do you mean, who would they take out?
Well, they can't just have a 6-7 man rotation.
No,
I know that Kodai Senga only pitches like once every 8 days, but like.
Well, you trade one of the other starters. Like let's just say Shane Bieber, right? Goes to Queens. I would think that one of the top prospects would be traded from the Mets, as well as sending Carlos Carrasco back. So both teams still get an arm. It's just that obviously the Mets are going to have to give up more to get a higher quality arm in Shane Bieber.
Yeah, I guess it's a tough spot. Tough.
By the way,
tough
I'm coming up with trades on the fly. Look at me go.
Look at you. Look at you. Yeah, I mean, I see the reason that you would want to maybe be the Mets. I think they're in a tougher division in the NL East, which, yes, obviously the Padres are also in a tough division in the NL West, but I think there's more of a chance that the Diamondbacks kind of fall off and they manage to catch the Dodgers because the Dodgers aren't, so far this season they haven't been the dominant team that they were last season. So I think it's more reasonable to catch up to them than the Braves, who they can't beat the Braves. And not to mention the Marlins have also been really, really good so far this season too. So I'd rather be the Padres just because they're missing hitting. As much as in the beginning of the season, pitching was their obvious big problem, I think it's now all hitting. Their entire problem is hitting. Do you know their bullpen has the second best ERA in baseball, behind the Yankees?
It's impressive.
And their starting pitching hasn't even been that bad as of late. It really hasn't. Most of their starters' ERAs have gone down, including Blake Snell, who now is only at, I believe, a 4 ERA, which how he started, that's definitely a lot better, and he's had a couple good starts in a row now. A couple really good starts in a row now. Darvish has been, iffy, but he's obviously getting better too. I think their pitching is improving, and then when you get to the bullpen, so far it's been pretty lights out. I think their bats have been the biggest problem, which the reason I'd rather be the Padres is because the extreme upside of those bats. And yes, you could say the same thing for the Mets, but the Padres have more of the power.
They have more of the superstars.
Exactly. If all those superstars can start to get into their groove, which we've seen Juan Soto, he just went 5 for 5 last night. He's been hitting the ball amazing recently. If we can see Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, if we can see Nando kind of just continue to, get back in the swing of things. Jake Cronenworth, he's been horrible this season. Fix a couple things. Gary Sanchez, the San Diego Padres catcher of the future.
The God.
Batting .286. He's got 4 homers?
Yes. 5
homers, I think, I think he hit one last night.
Oh, I thought that was his 4th.
Might be. I'm not sure. I think that was his 5th. But yeah, I think there's a bigger upside with the Padres lineup. Because the Mets pitching has been a big problem for them too. And their lineup has been a big problem.
Yeah.
some of the guys in their lineup. So I think the Padres have less to fix. I do think they need to trade away a couple of guys in this lineup, or like
Such as?
you can't, not necessarily trade away, but you can't have Rougned Odor playing every day.
Yes.
You can't have Matt Carpenter playing every day. As much as they have that upside, and they are, team guys as well, their product on the field is not justifying them playing every day. And I know Nelson Cruz just went down with an injury. I think it was hamstring. But Matt Carpenter can't be your DH. You're going to need someone else there. I think Austin Nola shouldn't be on this team anymore now that you have Gary Sanchez. I say you ride with Gary. Maybe find a different alternative at catcher, because Austin Nola quite literally has not even done anything.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think their bench could also improve a little bit too. So,
but how do you go about... So you put Gary Sanchez in at catcher, right? Either DFA, waive, or put Austin Nola just on the bench. So that's one thing to do, right? Is what you're saying? Gary Sanchez starting catcher?
I'm not saying you have to DFA Austin Nola.
Well, just figure out a way that Gary Sanchez gets everyday starts at catcher.
Well, he does. He does now. He is their everyday catcher right now. He's their everyday starting catcher right now. Austin Nola is just sitting on the bench doing whatever. But I think before you get rid of Austin Nola, you do have to have that backup. So, who you're replacing him with, which I think it might be
Brett Sullivan.
Campusano, or Brett Sullivan. Brett Sullivan did they move him back down?
I don't know.
I believe they moved him. Yeah, they moved him back down to AAA. So yeah, maybe the answer is Brett Sullivan, just keeping him as your backup rather than Austin Nola, who hasn't been good this season. Mm-hmm. But I think the route to the Padres getting hot is easier than the route to the Mets getting hot, because the Mets should be hot.
Yeah, there's no reason as to why they shouldn't be, other than the fact that they're not playing a good brand of baseball.
Yeah, the Padres, at least I can see, okay, the top 5 in their lineup are very, very good. Gary Sanchez is hot right now. Take away Gary Sanchez because he just joined the team just for this situation.
Yeah.
But then the bottom half of their lineup, you can understand why they've done nothing. So since the top half of their lineup they're not all batting 300 right now. They're not scoring as many runs as they should. They're not getting as many hits as they should. They're the Padres are 30th in batting average. That needs to be fixed.
Totally.
So that's what I think.
Totally
yes,
needs to be fixed.
I do agree with you. The Mets definitely have a bigger prospect capital than the Padres, but I don't think necessarily they're going to need too big of a prospect capital to trade for what they need. They just need a couple role players. They don't need any more superstars.
Yeah. And to talk about your point on why Rougned Odor is getting so many starts at second base, I think it's because of Ha-Seong Kim having to move around. I believe Xander Bogaerts and Rougned Odor both were not... Xander Bogaerts and Ha-Seong Kim were both listed as questionable going forward because of probably, if I had to guess, injuries or some sort of that. So I'm hoping that when the team gets fully healthy and when this team is at full strength, I think Nelson Cruz slots in at DH over Matt Carpenter.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I think Ha-Seong Kim is an easy second base option over Rougned Odor. Gary Sanchez playing at catcher. And then the only issue that I have with this lineup, genuinely, there's 4 lefties in that case, which is crazy balance for a lineup. And that's, I say issue, but it genuinely could work out so well for the Padres, barring everyone stays healthy. Because if everyone stays healthy and Juan Soto continues to do what he's doing, Manny Machado has come back from injury, he's looked okay so far. Fernando Tatis Jr. is looking good, could be looking a lot better if he gets more playing time. Well, when he gets more time to play and all that, blah, 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 blah. I think we're going to see this team make a full 180. However, I would still rather be in the Mets situation simply because the improvements could be larger with the Mets.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's an argument for both, obviously. Both teams have, they're in the same grid space of should be good, not good. They kind of both line up right there. Yeah. So, I mean, which one do you think has a better shot at winning their division? Because I think that's a really tough answer.
I'm only going to say the Padres because the Mets have to deal with the Braves. And if the Mets literally cannot figure out a way to win a series from the Braves, I don't see a way in which they win a division.
Yeah, I do still think that the road to the Padres winning the division is tougher than the road to the Mets winning the division. Because the Mets, when they're all playing amazing and how that we know they can, they will beat the Braves. The Padres still have the Dodgers, who are a really good team.
I don't know about they will still beat the Braves.
Not will, because last year obviously they didn't and they were playing well. But I feel like they have a better chance than the Padres right now, who have to get through the Giants, Dodgers, and Diamondbacks. Not that the Giants are a powerhouse team, but they still do have to get past them to, build their rank.
Yeah.
So
I think it's doable for
I'd rather be
teams.
the Padres, though.
I think it's doable for both teams. Let's see what the hell they can do going forward.
Yeah, divisions are tough. And when we're talking about divisions, I wanted to ask the last question relating to divisions in baseball. The AL Central might quite literally be one of the worst divisions we've ever seen this season, like of any ever division.
Yeah.
No team is currently above 500. It is June 8th. No team is currently above 500. The Twins lead the division at 31-31. The division is not good whatsoever. It is quite literally the AL Central least. So my question is, should they get rid of divisions in baseball? As far as for playoff seeding goes. You can keep the divisions for, who you play the most. But similar to the NBA, for your playoffs, hockey, for your playoffs, should you just do top 6 teams in the division or in the league? The American League, top 6 teams in the American League make the playoffs. Top 6 teams in the National League make the playoffs. Do we think that is a better option? Because judging by this AL Central, it seems like that would make the playoffs a lot more fun if we just did top teams in each division.
That would make the best brand of baseball for sure. I'm going to say no, because giving every team a more fair and equal opportunity to make the playoffs by just beating their direct competition is what makes baseball unique, what makes the playoffs so interesting to watch. Because, like we saw with the Phillies last year, they were the last wild card slot. No one expected them to be past the wild card. Everyone said the Cardinals were going to win that series. The Phillies beat them. The Phillies beat the next team. The Phillies beat the next team. And next thing you know, they're in the World Series. That's why I say the divisions make it more interesting, because it creates the storyline and this idea that certain teams shouldn't be where they are, and it gives teams an opportunity to prove everybody wrong. So I like the idea of divisions. I understand what you're saying in the sense of it will filter out the
really
best
bad
of the worst.
Yeah.
It would filter out the entire AL Central essentially. But there's definitely something to be said about whoever wins that AL Central division, let's see if they can get hot. Let's see if they're playing a good brand of baseball up until the point of the playoffs, and then maybe we're talking highly about them come playoff time. That's where I stand on it.
I think... I see what you're saying with, anything can happen once the playoffs start, which is why you want to give every, kind of division a little chance to make it.
Yeah.
I like how it works with the NBA. And granted, yes, they do have, over half their teams now make the playoffs?
Yes.
But MLB wouldn't do a play-in or anything. They're not going to start a play-in. It's tough. Because as much as I love divisions, and I love that, even maybe some people might hey, the AL Central sucks, let one of them make it, so it's whoever plays them is just rolling right past them. But in terms of, it's
been the case for a long time.
Yeah, in terms of, I just want to watch the best baseball, I would love for just no divisions.
So, just to put it into perspective for anyone who's listening right now, if we were to do the top 6 teams in each league, American League and National League, make the playoffs, for the American League right now, it would be in order: Tampa Bay, the Texas Rangers, the Baltimore Orioles, the Houston Astros, the New York Yankees, and the Toronto Blue Jays rounding it out at 6. In the National League, it would be the Atlanta Braves, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Miami Marlins, the Milwaukee Brewers, and then the Pittsburgh Pirates. So, take that as you will.
I mean, NL's a little more balanced in that sense because 2 from each division anyway. But
right. The NL Central is definitely more balanced, but
it's also
it does
June.
show how bad we're in June. We're almost halfway through June now. Or no, that's a little bit of a stretch. We're in June now.
Yeah, it's June 8th. We're not halfway through. I wish.
I said we're almost. But
not really.
We're in June right now, and the Minnesota Twins would be considered an 8th seed. And that would be the first Central team coming up in the American League.
Yeah, there would be no 8th seed. So.
No, I'm saying like where they're placed.
No, I know. I'm saying
it would put them 2.5 games out.
No playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah, they would miss the playoffs entirely.
It's just so tough. I don't. It's just. I feel like I'd like to see it. Just try it for one season. See what happens. Because we have seen Central teams be good. It's not like every year there's going to be no Central teams.
What was it, like 2021 when the Astros played the White Sox? A lot of people were riding with the White Sox in that first round. Well, of course, the Astros dismantled them.
A couple of years ago, the Twins won 100 games. 101, I want to say, games.
Yeah, something like that.
Last year the Guardians won 97. Like, they're not bad teams, but just like in years
couldn't beat anybody else. But.
They're not bad teams, but in years like this, it's like, why would anyone want to watch these teams play in the playoffs?
Yeah, and of course, I think another massive thing that we keep jumping around, I don't think any owner in baseball would agree to it simply due to the whole revenue sharing thing. And if one more team makes the playoffs and earns that extra revenue, it's one less dollar amount, one less check that needs to be written to essentially a bottom feeder, which obviously every MLB team, I think, is not wanting to pay teams that don't make the playoffs. That's a blatantly obvious thing. I don't think it will ever happen. It would be fun to see divisionless baseball in the sense of how the playoffs would work, but again, I don't think it's going anywhere, and I like the system now.
Yeah, I guess it's just bizarre.
Totally.
I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna make my official choice and say that I would like to see no divisions. I'd like to still see divisions in the sense of these are who we're going to be playing the most. These are still all rivals and stuff. Like,
well, the NBA
you got Braves, Mets, Phillies, Mets, Phillies, Braves, all that. Similar to what the NBA does. But what I don't want is what the NBA does in the sense of no one looks at the divisions in NBA. Not a single person looks at divisions in NBA. Everyone just looks at, the Eastern Conference, Western Conference. I don't want it to just be like you're only looking at AL, NL standings, like total. I would like to still when you pull up standings on the MLB app and you see, AL, I'd still like it to be like that. And then have another option where you could see AL, NL. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we'll see. Like you said, I agree with you. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't know if owners would agree to that. Just a little thought, food for your thought. Because of how bad the AL Central has been, let us know what you think that would look like, what you think they should do, if you think it'll ever happen, in the comments. Let us know in the comments. And that's all I got.
That's all I got.
We're currently Thursday. Series are ending today. We will have a full podcast for you guys tomorrow. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys in the next one tomorrow. Stay safe. Peace. Let's go baseball. Let's go baseball. Let's go baseball.